Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for September 2024. Going to be looking at the Week 3 NFL picks, the Thursday thoughts, as we usually do after the Thursday game on Thursday night. So we're going to delve into every game. I have updates on all but one game. So we're going to have all those notes. And before we get into that, and by the way, you might see that I'm by myself tonight. Tom was supposed to be on. Unfortunately, he had a kind of serious family incident that he had to take care of. So I hope everything is going to be okay there. But yeah, he'll be back next week, I'm sure. So he just had to take care of something. So anyway, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated. As you guys know, I wear these shirts all the time. You can get all these shirts here at the merch store to help support the show. They're about $17 to $19. Like sometimes they have a flash sale. They're like 15, 16 bucks, but usually 17 to 19. But these are high quality shirts. I wear them all the time. As I've said, like it's basically my entire wardrobe minus like 3 or 4 shirts. And my wife always makes fun of me for it. So I'm always wearing one of these shirts. So if you see me, I'm probably wearing one. I am wearing one, Pete. I wore it last night. So as you can tell, this is kind of like the dad lifestyle where I just don't shower or change clothes for like days at a time. I'm kind of like in those funks right now. But I promise I will be wearing a new shirt, probably one of these on Saturday. Also, consider super chats and super stickers. We had a nice 2 super chats yesterday from John Sanders and then Stuart Griffin. So thank you so much, guys, for contributing yesterday. Recently as well, we had Slew, we had We Can't Make an Eagle, and then in the past, Kevin Kovac, Degeneron, Germ. You guys have been so awesome with your contributions. So just really appreciate it. And like if you guys want to keep contributing, that'd be so awesome. Like I said, YouTube ads pay absolutely nothing. So we need all the support we can get. So as we grow the show. Also on Amazon, you can get 3 of my books. The latest one is Jerks of the College Years. As you can see here, I made fun of a lot of weird people at Penn State. This kind of mimics Jerks of the Week. It's the same, written in the same format. There are way more stories, a little bit shorter for the most part. Some of them are long. But yeah, you can see that I ran into quite a few strange people at Penn State, so I made fun of them. Also, this has to do with the guy on the right there, Aaron Rodgers tonight. He won the MVP in 2020, but I'm sure you guys didn't know that Brett Favre tried to sabotage it. I wrote about it in this book. How the 2020 MVP was stolen. I think you guys will like it. It's quite the story that I wrote. And we have a couple comments here. John says, still figuring out how the Patriots beat the Bengals. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. Remember, like in 2020, the Jaguars beat the Colts as 9-point underdogs, and they didn't win a single game after that. Weird things happen all the time. It's just this game of football. That's what they say, right? Any given Sunday. The Bengals didn't show up. They had the Chiefs next. They weren't focused, and Joe Burrow didn't seem healthy, and the Patriots just got the win. Although, to be fair, like Gesicki, like he dropped the touchdown pass. Then Tanner Hudson fumbled into the end zone. The Bengals fumbled the kickoff return in the second half. Like that game easily could have gone the Bengals' way, even though they played poorly. So the Patriots are lucky to be 1-2 right now. They could be 0-3. Although they did take Seattle to overtime last week. But I think they showed their true colors tonight. I think this team's going to really struggle to win games. I think they win probably 3 games overall, maybe 4. But I think they're going to go under the 4.5 or the 5, whatever we got. Chris says, thanks for pointing us in the right direction tonight, Walt. I almost got fixated on that 3 games in 11 days. Business and ignored a rookie coach trying in his 3rd game in 12 days. Yeah, actually, this is something I forgot to post on the site. I mean, we got the right side anyway, but I saw that rookie head coaches playing in their first Thursday night game are 22-33 against the spread. So I mean, there were so many other reasons to like the Jets, but that was another thing. So I was glad they had the 3-unit win. Unfortunately, the props didn't go our way. Breece Hall was like 3 yards shy of his prop. And also Garrett Wilson. For some reason, Rodgers and Wilson just can't connect. I don't know. The opportunities were there for him to go over. He just couldn't catch those passes. But it felt like Hall should have hit. There was one play where He ran a route and he kind of slipped, and I was like, oh man, like what if he didn't slip? Like Rodgers may have thrown it to him, and it would have gone over. But still a good night. We came out like plus 1.4 units or something. So I'll take that. It just sucks that the two big props we had didn't hit. JTS, yes. But they said Gesicki's drop was actually a catch. Replay got it wrong. Yeah, I thought it was a catch too. I was kind of surprised that they reversed it. I don't understand. Sometimes I don't get these replays. Like it exists to get the calls right, but sometimes to get the calls wrong. It's very strange. So anyway, guys, going to go through all these games here, and if you have any questions, I'll answer anything. You guys know how I roll when I'm flying solo. Don't have to worry about anyone getting into trouble because I employ myself, and I can't fire myself. Actually, I could probably fire myself, but it wouldn't make any sense for me to do that. Anyway, let's get to the first game here. Chargers at Steelers. So there's some update with Justin Herbert. He was DNP on Wednesday, limited on Thursday with an ankle. And I found this quote interesting by Adam Schefter. He said this on Twitter. He said, "It looks as if Justin Herbert is determined to play on Sunday." I found that like kind of weird. That like it seems like Schefter was hinting that Herbert would normally be unlikely to play, but he's kind of like gutting through it. And so I really want to go with the Steelers now. I already had them down as a pick for like 0 or 1 units, but I think I'm going to make a multi-unit play on this. If Herbert's injured against that defense, like the Chargers are going to have some major problems here. And I feel like, they're kind of overrated a little bit after beating Carolina. Like Carolina is just awful. Like, of course, they blew out the Panthers. In week 1, they were losing against the Raiders for most of the game. Minshew had a weird fumble. Zamir White fumbled over midfield. Like that game could have gone much differently than the score suggests. So I think the Chargers, you could make the case they're overrated. And I'm sure some people say the Steelers are as well, but their defense is legit. Like their defense is awesome. Their offense is pretty shaky, but Justin Fields is playing mistake-free football right now. And they have Pickens. I think he could do well against the secondary. But yeah, and they did make a change at left tackle last week, which turned out to be pretty good so far. Troy Fautano, a right tackle. Troy Fautano took over for Broderick Jones, and he played much better. So we'll see if that holds up. It's a tough test, but I definitely like the Steelers here. I think I'm gonna increase my unit count. We'll see. I'm just gonna see any further reports on Herbert, but it does look like Herbert's banged up, and we knew that because of the plantar fascia. Next game is Bears at the Colts. So there are a lot of Bears players on the injury report. Keenan Allen was DNP twice. Tevin Jenkins, DNP the limited. Nate Davis, limited twice. Montez Sweat, limited twice. So, initially we thought maybe the Bears had the injury advantage because DeForest Buckner is out and the Colts are missing their top corner. They're missing their top safety. But it appears that the Bears don't have that edge because they have some injured players as well. So it's kind of a wash. I think the matchup here favors the Colts because, their weakness is their run defense, and the Bears can't run the ball. So I think Richardson should do very well in this game. I don't really like the Bears defense that much. Like they can only get pressure with Sweat, and he's banged up a little bit. So it feels like the Colts are the right side, but I'm not seeing like a big edge here. I'm not really sure I'm going to bet that game. Some comments here. Chris, do they have a spread for Cowboys at Giants next Thursday? I'm sure they do. Let's take a look here at FanDuel. They tend to have future games. So week 4, Dallas is -7 right now. And so I think Dallas looks good. They always dominate the Giants, and it's the same rule. You take the best team on Thursday night because the weaker team can't prep for it. You just have to make sure that the heavy favorite is going to be focused here. And unless Dallas absolutely destroys Baltimore, then I think they will be focused. If it's a close game or if they lose, especially if they lose, I think Dallas is going to look appealing because maybe if they could drop the 1 and 2 and the Giants keep it close against the Browns, maybe this line goes 6.5 or 6. So I wouldn't bet this now. But I think that Dallas right now looks like the right side for sure. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, maybe they blow out Baltimore. I don't think they do, but maybe. Alex says really like the Steelers in the spot. Chargers just feel way overhyped. Yeah, I agree with that too. I'm coming to the same conclusion. Okay, you found 6.5. So yeah, I guess different sports books. Chris says Justin Herbert played last year when he was officially doubtful. Yeah, I think he's going to gut through it. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play, but I think he's going to be limited in what he can do. And I think if Jacob were still here, that was like one of Jacob's favorite rules is to fade banged up quarterbacks, just because if they're not 100%, especially against a good defense, like they're going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball. So I definitely like the Steelers in this game. It says don't fire yourself, Walt. We need you. Well, it would be weird because I'd still be the president of the company, but I wouldn't be writing for the site. But then who would be except for Charlie? Like it would be very strange if I did that. But like I technically could. John says over under only at 36. Interesting. Is that for the Dallas Giants game? No, it's 43.5. So for the Chargers Steelers, yeah. Yeah, with a banged up quarterback and a great defense and the Steelers not doing much offensively, I think the under looks pretty good to me. I think I would bet the under if I were to bet the under. I don't know if I will though. Colts really disappointed in their first two games. Well, I don't know. I mean, they kept it close against Houston, right? Like that game could have gone either way. And yeah, they got walloped by the Packers, but that was a tough matchup. Green Bay just ran it down their throats, and I don't think they're fully focused because they had Malik Willis on the schedule, and they're like, we could beat this bum, right? We just played against CJ Stroud, almost won. We could beat Malik Willis. They're familiar with him in the division, so I don't think they took that game fully seriously. So I think they'll bounce back, but it's just not a great spot. So anyway. Next game is Texans at the Vikings. Sharp money on Minnesota. Joe Mixon and Damian Pierce in practice, so it's looking like Cam Akers for fantasy purposes. Nico Collins was DMP to limited. I'm not sure what that means. It could just mean that he was resting on Wednesday. I don't know if I'd read too much into it yet. Although Jordan Addison hasn't practiced yet, so it looks like he's going to be out again. Justin Jefferson said he will play. He guaranteed it. So we'll see. I'd be pretty shocked if he didn't play too. So looking like Minnesota is the lean here, but this line kind of sucks because the advanced spread was 4.5. It's down to 2. Like the Sharps have really done a number on this line. So there's just no betting edge here. I think the spread is just where it should be. As Chris says, if you're fired, you have to live off the 135,624 page views in my Josh Rosen article got on your site. I was hoping it would put your kids through college. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to get debacled going again because what happened was when we moved to WordPress, we had to move a lot of stuff around, and so it was harder for people to post on debacle and whatnot. But yeah, I think we'll have to do that. But yeah, though that's a lot of pages. That's pretty impressive. All right, let's get to the next game. Giants to the Browns. So good news, bad news for the Browns. The good news is Jack Conklin full in practice Wednesday and Thursday. Jedrick Wills limited both days, so at least he's practicing. Bad news is that Myles Garrett was DNP twice so far. Wednesday is not a huge deal, but Thursday also. We'll see. I mean, even if he's limited Friday, it's a big question mark. If he's DNP on Friday, probably not going to play. And so I have no interest in betting the Browns if Garrett is out. Like he is the heart and soul of that defense. If he's out, that defense is not nearly as good as it usually is. So Daniel Jones might actually have a chance if Garrett's out. So that's something to monitor. Maybe he returns fully to practice on Friday, and then the Browns look good again, especially if if Conklin doesn't get downgraded and Wills can play. If all three of those guys are in, I like Cleveland a lot. I'm going to bet them. But if Garrett's out, no bet for sure. And if Conklin and Wills somehow miss again, then no bet for sure either. So it's just something we're going to have to see on the injury report on Friday. The next game is Eagles at the Saints. So Joey Russo, who comments on here sometimes, I don't know if he's listening right now. So let us know if you're listening, Joey. He messaged me on Twitter today And he was trying to convince me to bet the Saints because the Eagles are a defensive mess, and that is true. I mean, they've been pretty underwhelming defensively through 2 weeks, but they have a lot of talent, and like it feels like the guys who should be playing well are not. Like Bryce Huff is not getting to the quarterback, but he's talented, so maybe he'll be able to soon. Jordan Davis is having a sluggish year, but he's very talented. He could bounce back. Jalen Carter has talked about this yesterday with Kenny. He's getting to the quarterback, but he's getting pushed around in run support. But he could play better. Like these guys are very talented, and they can bounce back. It's early in the year. Maybe they're just coasting through September, but coming off a loss, I think they could be more focused. And the line movement in this game sucks. Like the Eagles were minus, what were they, minus 3.5 on the event spread? Yeah, they're 3.5, and now they're plus 2.5. So it's a 6-point movement. Like just based on 1 week of results, like it seems ridiculous. The Eagles would be 2-0 right now if Barkley didn't drop that pass. And then, like, no one would be talking about that final drive just because it would never happen. So, I don't know. It's just such a bad number to bet the Saints minus 2.5. Everything that I've learned over the years just says not to do it. But if the Eagles continue to play this way, then the Saints should be able to run on them and win the game. But this is a confusing game. I'm not going to bet this one despite Joey's pleas. It should be noted that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson popped up in the injury report. No A.J. Brown yet. Did not expect him to play, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson went from full to DNP. So that's something to monitor. It just seems like he's always hurt. So I guess it's not like too much of a surprise. Sue says, Mike, Anthony Richardson is about as accurate as a Quinnipiac presidential poll. Yeah, they're all inaccurate. I think I was talking to Kenny after one of the shows, and Kenny is friends with a pollster, and this pollster told Kenny that he just he couldn't reach Republicans. He just couldn't do it. Which is like, I'm not really surprised. Like I was talking to my dad. My dad is Republican, and he said that like a pollster called him and he just yelled like "F you" into the phone and hung up. I feel like that's like the normal reaction to it. I took a poll once. It was like during the summer, and I have more free time in the summer. So, and it was a Friday, which is usually like a slow day for me anyway. So I actually got frustrated with this guy who was talking to me, asking me questions, because he's like, one question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious do you view immigration? And I'm like, do you mean legal immigration or illegal immigration? And he's like, it doesn't say. And I'm like, well, I can't answer the question. It's so different. And he's like, I don't know what to do. That's what the question is. I'm like, well, I can't answer it. So it's just like we went back and forth, and I just got so frustrated. I'm like, I'm not going to answer this question. You have to ask me specifically if it's legal immigration or illegal immigration. It's just like a huge difference there. So I don't know. I just don't trust these polls at all. These people don't seem to know what they're doing. They can't reach Republicans. It's like that. No wonder all the polls are always off. Let's see. John says Garrett already said he's going to play through the injury. They're just being cautious. Okay, interesting. I didn't hear that quote. But I mean, I wonder how serious the injury is. Like, what if he tries to play through it and he has to leave after 10 snaps? It's like DeForest Buckner last week. He played, but he played 10 snaps. So is it going to be like that? Like that? I'm still worried about that. Go Saints. Well, we'll see. I hope the Saints lose because I have the Saints under wins and the Eagles over wins. So could use this Philadelphia victory here. Anyway, next one is Broncos and the Buccaneers. If you guys didn't see this last night, I locked in the Broncos at +7 -115 at BetMGM. That's off the board. DraftKings had +7.5 won at -118 last night. Now it was up to -120 earlier today. I checked then, but I have not checked since. So I might as well do that, right? So let's see. Let's see what DraftKings has for us here. And you have to go to the alt lines here because they show 6.5. But this is week 2. Let's refresh the page and see what they give us. So yeah, first game on the board for some reason. I wish they would order it like in the correct. I don't know what like why is he going to be the BMW championship? All right, so game lines. Let's move to 7. 7 minus 124, which is, I think the most you should pay for a 7 is minus 120. So minus 124 is too much. It's not like that much more. It's not like minus 130. So if you want to feel safe and do it, it's okay. I'm not going to complain too much about that or criticize you at all. But I think 6.5 minus 110 is better than plus 7 minus 124, just mathematically. Let's see. Let's go back to the picks page here. And the note I have for this game is that, let's see. I don't have any notes on this game. This is the first game I don't have a note on. I two of them, but I guess the note is that I locked this one in already. At this point, you might as well just wait to see if a 7 reappears. I don't think it will because the sharps bet Denver, but it could. Maybe some sharp bettors like Tampa, and they're waiting for a better number. So it could go back up. Like I won't count that out. But I like Denver a lot. Packers at the Titans. This is the last early game. So the note here is that Jordan Love was limited twice so far in practice. So it sounds like there's a chance he could play. But even if he does, he's not going to be 100%. So if he does play, I think the Packers move to like minus 2.5. And so you'll want to wait on this one because, if he's announced out, the line's not going to move because I think they assume that he's not going to play. So you might see like a 2 or 2.5. Like that's not a huge deal. But if he's going to play, it's going to be like minus 2.5, or even maybe minus 3. So we're going to get a lot of good value on Tennessee if he plays because I just don't see him being completely healthy. And to go back to what we were saying before with Justin Herbert, quarterbacks who are banged up tend to not do very well. So either way, it's going to be Malik Willis versus a top 10 defense or an injured Jordan Love. And either way, it just seems like very bad for the Packers, and the Titans are desperate at 0-2. So I think that Tennessee just seems like a great play this week. The next game is one I took off a potential bet. So Panthers at Raiders. I thought I was going to put 3 units on this game, and an emailer emailed me, and he was like, he was arguing to not bet the Raiders because Andy Dalton is the better quarterback, obviously, compared to Bryce Young. So looking at the thing I like, where backup quarterbacks against top 10 defenses tend to fail, is kind of like a flawed argument because Bryce Young is worse than the backup quarterback. So you would want to bet against the Panthers either way. And I think that's true. Like if Bryce Young were playing this game and this line were still 7 like it was, I would be on the Raiders still. But it's a lower number now. We're getting the key numbers of 6 and 7, which is nice. But Andy Dalton is better than Bryce Young. Like there's no question about that. Unless he's like really regressed for some reason from last year, which I don't see why that would be the case. But the reason I took the bet off here is that I think that, we see this dynamic when teams fire their head coaches or to an extent their coordinators, but usually their head coaches. Like the players play super hard that next game because they want to show that they weren't at fault for this. And I think that's going to be the Panthers' mentality here. They're going to want to show that like it was Bryce Young, it wasn't them, because if they get blown out again, then there are going to be some major questions about those guys too. So they're going to be playing very hard. And then you have the Raiders who are coming off this big win across the country against Baltimore, come from behind win. I don't know how focused they'll be here as a big favorite at home. So I'm backing off this one. I don't want to touch it. I wish this was still Bryce Young so we could bet against him against the Raiders defense, but just looking like just a bad opportunity for now. Mike says the Republican voters are all too busy working in the private sector to pay taxes to support the government bureaucracy. Who has time for polls? Yeah, that is the argument. Like Republicans are either working too hard or they're taking care of their families, or spending time with their families. Like they're not like cat ladies who have time to answer phone calls. Sue says, please promise me the Titans will not have a punt block for the 3rd straight game. Man, the Titans have really cost us so much money. It's 5 units both weeks. It's with the VIG, that's 11 units or so. It's just been so brutal. If you just give us those 2 wins, we would be up on the year pretty substantially. it's a 22 unit swing. So Will Levis is just like determined to lose people a lot of money. I hope, I really hope, I can't promise you, I really hope that they don't, and just play a clean game, because they could be 2-0 right now. Obviously the Bears, that should have been a win, but against the Jets, they had the lead for most of the game. They would have been up 2 scores if Will Levis didn't do that stupid backward shovel pass. And then there was the block punt. So they outgained the Jets. Now, I won't go as far as to say that like they definitely should have won the game, but I think they should have covered at least, or at least pushed. But they at least should be 1-1 with maybe 2-0. So I think they're the most underrated team. I think people, like the casual fan, I don't think maybe understands that. And Robinson, Malik Willis revenge game. Well, it's got to be bad for Malik Willis here, because these guys have gone against him in practice for a long time. So I think they know his tendencies pretty well. Martin asking, what's your read on the 49ers Rams game? Both sides are banged up. Yeah, I'll get to that. I may drop that pick as well. We'll talk about that in a second. John says, Young reminds me of a young Tua when the line would move in the other team's direction if Fitzpatrick was starting. Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. It's so funny that they deemed Dalton to be 2 points better than Bryce Young, because this line was 7 when Bryce Young was slated to start. So yeah, it's and Dalton's obviously not a good quarterback at this stage of his career, but he's 36, and so they Bryce Young's that bad that he's 2 points worse than Dalton. So it says Raiders, I look at the Panthers film and can't get serious in their preparation. I think you're probably right about that. And then Chris, Walt, did you get your autographed Bryce Young jersey you ordered last week arrived yet? Did I say that? I may have forgotten. I say a lot on here. It's just like, especially when I'm talking about myself. Was I going to? Was it when he covered in week 2? Maybe I said it then. Because he did help me win the GPP. That Monday night slate, the 2-game slate on DraftKings. So maybe I should get it. I don't know. But anyway, I'm trying to unload a lot of my stuff actually, and selling a lot of my Magic cards that I had like as a kid. So I'm like each month I'm going to the local card store. This guy works there as a friend of mine, so he's selling a bunch of my stuff on eBay at the moment. Okay, I made this up. Yeah, I was like, I didn't remember that. You just love Bryce no matter how we all begged you not to. Yeah, well, that's over. I'm done with Bryce Young. It's not that I love him this year. I love what the Panthers did this offseason, from getting Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Deontay Johnson, hiring Dave Canales. It just seems like their offense should be a lot better, and it got worse. So, yeah, Bryce Young just seems like a complete lost cause. I think he's like 99% to bust, I think. Just made that number up, but it seems that way. All right, let's get to the next game here. It is Dolphins at the Seahawks. What do I have here? So the sharp money's moving this line down. There's no real injuries here, which, by the way, it's so frustrating. The Seattle Seahawks website, I think they are the worst website, NFL website at updating information. Like, every team has their injury reports like done. Like they post their injury reports very quickly. Seattle like never posts their injury reports. It's so frustrating. You have to go to Twitter to get it. And they the way they do it is like formatted differently. I don't know why, and it's so confusing because like how most teams do it, they'll have like player and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like how they were, and then on the right they'll have like either questionable or doubtful or out or whatever. Seattle has this like weird grid where they have they do it by like they have like day on the left hand side, and then they have like they have 3 columns. They have 1 column for like DMP, and then 1 column for limited, and 1 column for full for each of these 3 days. It's just so weird how they do it. It's so annoying. I don't know why they do it this way. They're the only team that does it that way. It's so weird, and maybe that's why they can't update their website. Anyway, just complaining about stupid Seattle here. I think Seattle looks a lot worse now because of how shellacked the Patriots worse tonight because that game went to overtime in week 2. And so an outside observer might be like, oh, New England beat Cincinnati. They almost beat Seattle. Good team, right? No, they're not. They didn't complete a third down, convert a third down until the final drive of the game tonight. They got outgained 400 to 137. This is a horrible team, and they almost beat Seattle. And I think you have to look at it that way. Seattle has beaten Denver and New England so far. Like that's not a good resume. And I know they're playing against a backup quarterback, but backup quarterbacks do well unless they play against an elite defense. And I don't think Seattle's an elite defense. Stevenson just ran all over them. Feels like Achane should be able to have a great game. Tyreek Hill, I think he can produce no matter who the quarterback is. So I think Miami's going to win this one outright. I think I'm going to bet the money line. Or actually, I might bet the -2.5 for Miami because you get much better vig on that. So that I'll post on Saturday. Next game is Lions at the Cardinals. There's some sharp money coming in on Arizona, like not a lot. It hasn't moved this line off 3 in most books. I've seen like a plus like 2.5 -120 or -125. So not like a real 2.5. But it seems like there is some sharp money on Arizona. Detroit has 3 players on in their secondary on the injury report, including Melifonwu, who's was just a great safety for them late last season. They haven't had him yet, so I think that's part of the reason why their secondary doesn't look too good yet. But I still like Detroit. I think they bounced back. It seemed like they weren't fully sharp last week. They made a lot of mistakes. They outgained the Buccaneers by 240 yards, but they kept getting tripped up. I think they reached the Tampa 27 7 times, or 27 yard or farther 7 times, and they scored like 9 points out of those possessions or something. Like it was just so absurd how inefficient they were in the red zone. And I think that has to kind of just go back to the mean because they have so much talent. And coming off a loss, I think that they're going to be way more focused this week. Whereas like everyone is excited about Arizona. Marvin Harrison Jr. I talk about best ball. He's going like late first, early second in the best ball drafts right now this week. And I mean, he was awesome last week, but I just think that people were a little overhyped by Arizona right now. Like they crushed the Rams, but the Rams, they're in complete shambles right now. Like they have so many injuries, just like not even a real team. So I don't know how I don't think I'd take that game too seriously. So yeah, I still like Detroit here. Hopefully their injury report looks better on Friday. Let's see here. Mike says now if we can get him off the Raiders and the Redskins too. What's up with the Raiders? They beat the Ravens last week. They won outright. So don't say anything about the Raiders. The Redskins, I bet against them. I actually haven't picked the Redskins yet this year. I went with Tampa week 1 and I went with the Giants week 2. And the Giants had their kicker, they probably would have won that game. That's another one that screwed us because the Giants had to they kicked an extra point with their punter and they missed, and then they missed 2 2-point conversions, and then they had a chip shot field goal to win the game at the end, and they had to go for it on 4th down because they couldn't kick it without a kicker. So it's just 3 like brutal beats so far, plus the preseason game with the Ravens Eagles. And it feels like nothing's gone our way either. Like Lions Rams did in week 1, but that was a small bet. Like no big bet has like we haven't won a big bet yet that we shouldn't have. Feels like we won some, like including the pick of the month, but feels like every 50-50 game has gone against us, and even like Titans Bears wasn't 50-50. It was like 90-10. And that went against us, John says, I really like Miami this week. Seattle's are criminally overrated, and the loss of Tua isn't that big of a deal in that offense. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's one of my 5-unit plays. I like that a lot. It's a long plane flight to Seattle. It is, but Seattle is traveling from New England too. It's a long plane flight for them. By the way, Seattle last week at New England went to overtime, fly back home, play this game. Next week, they fly back to Detroit on Monday night. So very tough spot for them, I think. Sue says DEI is big in Seattle. Seattle probably included. Seahawks probably included DEI hire, probably tasked with the website injury report. It's fair. Although they have a great front office. You can't argue that. So yeah, John Schneider, fantastic GM. So, but with the website stuff, you're probably right. So, uh, Chris says, uh, all right. So sorry about that. I am back. Chris says Dan Campbell having to sell his house because of idiots could be a distraction. I haven't heard that. What happened there exactly, Chris? I haven't heard that at all. Um, Too funny. So yeah, that was. I don't know if you guys heard me at the end. I kind of my internet cut out for a second. Yeah, that was. I think you're right, Slew, about that the internet. About the website hire for sure. Um, Roger stat line 24.0 hugs. Nice. Luckily, we had over 22 and a half points. That it seemed like that would that might have missed because Greg the Leg missed a field goal, which like pretty like tilted me. Like I was yelling this at the TV when I was watching. I was like, yeah, Redskins hit 7 field goals last week. I can't get one from Zerline. Like, come on. But that the over points hit for sure. Sue says Lions lose this one. Their Super Bowl future odds have to move significantly. Yeah, they're 12-1 right now. I actually had a free $25 bet on FanDuel, and I put it on Detroit at 12-1 today. I was going to put on the Chiefs, but they're only 5-1. So I wanted to go longer odds a little bit, and Detroit's 12-1 is okay. But yeah, I think you're right. If they lose to Arizona, we might see like 18-1 or something. So John says, did you know that the advanced line on Lions Cardinals before last weekend? Yeah. So it was. I have that here on the site. It was Lions minus 4.5. That we have that for every game. So yeah, you can just go to FanDuel and look them up right now. But yeah, it was Lions minus 4.5. So we're getting some good line value with Detroit. Because I'm just not really sure why Campbell then went on to do interviews telling everyone that he and his family had moved. I have not heard this. You guys, this is all news to me. Chris has no major details aside from Dan Campbell moving after fans found his address and harassed him after Tampa loss. Really? They'd harass him after the Tampa loss after what he's done for that team? If you're like, okay, yeah, who cares about a week 2 loss? Like this guy took your team to the NFC Championship when 3 years ago, or even like sooner, the Lions were the laughing stock of the NFL for years, like a decade plus. Like ever since Barry Sanders retired, like they're the laughing stock of the NFL. And they're gonna harass him after 1 loss in week 2. Like I don't think it's right to ever harass someone like that. But like really, like they outgained Tampa by 240 yards. Like yeah, they should have won, but like they were the better team. I don't, man. That's man, I don't like that at all. Like shame you couldn't throw them like javelins. Yeah, I feel like people are that dumb. You know, I think everything should be on the table. John says, yeah, Campbell feared for his safety, so he sold his house. He had to battle tigers and bears in his backyard. Oh man, that's crazy. Like why? Geez, like get a life, people. You're going after a coach who a great coach for your team who lost 1 meaningless game. Like who cares? Like did they have like huge bets on Tampa? Like not that excuses it, but like that's so stupid, man. Advice to Dan Campbell: don't hire any recently fired Secret Service agents for protection. Yes, that's for sure. I heard. By the way, I heard one of the Secret Service agents on that day. She had to. She had to take a break because she was breastfeeding her child. I'm like, your job is to take a bullet for the president, and you brought your child to work with you. Like what? Like that's ridiculous. I don't like. It's your job is supposed to be dangerous. Like that's your goal. Like is to protect the president. Take a bullet for him, and you brought your child, your baby. Like it's insane. I think something's wrong here. Sue says when Dan Devine was having a bad year coaching at Notre Dame, Irish fans kept putting for sale signs in his front yard. So like if you like that's funny, It's like as a joke, like as long as you're not like damaging the house or threatening him or his family, like I think that's way over the line. But like, if you're gonna just make a joke and put a for sale sign in the front yard, like that's funny, you know. I think like TPing the house, I think even that's too far. Or like throwing eggs at the front door, you have to clean that up. It's like I don't know, it's just annoying, and like you could damage something. Like putting a for sale sign is just funny, I think. Someone says maybe she's one of the wackos who breastfed their kids until they're 26. Yeah, like the lady at the Erie, what's her name? It's late. I can't. Liza Aaron. There's like that maybe. Yeah, I don't. That's that. I heard that and I was like, how are you allowed to bring your kid to work? You're like your goal is to take a bullet for the president. Oh, let me bring my kid to work. What a good idea. It got worse. Someone killed his dog and wow. That's like that person should be locked up for a long time. Like killing their dog, leaving on the front porch. Jesus, like what is wrong with these people? Like it's fun to root for your team. It's like it's not life or death. It's just get over it. Like you should have like bigger worries. That's crazy. I hope they found the person, locked them up forever. So instead of 4.5 million, if you're interested, I'll pass for now. Well, maybe it'll be a discount. I don't know, but yeah, not interested. Anyway, let's see the next game. I don't know, Thursday thoughts here. Did I not upload this? I guess I didn't upload this. That's weird. I'll have to fix that. Anyway, Ravens at the Cowboys. The Ravens are favored now. Some sharp bettors I respect, like Baltimore. I don't really know why. Like I read some of the write-ups and it said like Baltimore is just they're the better team, and despite the offensive line issues, like they're still the better team. Dallas is in shambles also with their offensive line, and I could maybe buy that, but I was down on the Ravens heading into the season, so I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this game. I like maybe like 51-49 Baltimore. But yeah, I don't really see a great opportunity to bet the Ravens here. Ronnie Stanley and CeeDee Lamb both missed Wednesday's practice, but Stanley returned. He's full on Thursday. Lamb was limited, but I'd be shocked if either misses this game. But we'll see. And here's the question we had from one commenter. 49ers at Rams. This line dropped to 7. If you guys haven't heard the news, George Kittle looks like he's going to miss this game. Charvarius Ward is looking iffy for this game too. And then Nick Bosa was limited in practice suddenly on Thursday. So if Nick Bosa's out, I think that might be the straw that broke the camel's back here for the Niners. But at the moment, I still like the Niners. But I don't think it's going to be 3-unit play anymore. Not with all their injuries. I still think they should be fine with Jordan Mason, Brandon Ayuk. Like the Rams are just in shambles right now. They're missing the top 2 receivers. They're missing multiple interior linemen. They're missing multiple defensive backs. The linebackers are horrible. Stafford was limping around last week. Like there's just so much wrong with this team. But a team like the Niners that's like not nearly as full strength, it's so hard to cover these large spreads. But they have dominated this matchup, so I still think they are the right side. But I might drop this from like 3 to 2 units, or maybe 1 unit. I will have I think a small bet on the Niners unless like Nick Bosa's out. But yeah, I still think they're the right side. But it's not looking as appealing as it was a couple of days ago, unfortunately. Let's see here. Chris says Dan Campbell's house was bought instantly by huge Lions fans. Nice. Cowboys are awful against dual threat quarterbacks. Yeah, you're right. They tend to struggle against them. So yeah, that could be a reason to take Baltimore. Mike says in Detroit right now you could buy the Renaissance Center for $4.5 million. Yeah, I'll pass on a home in Detroit for sure. Mega says, hey Walter, what's a good site to see snap and wrap counts or percentages? I think Pro Football Focus has that stuff. I think Pro Football Reference might have that too, but I'm sure there are a lot of sites that have that. But snap counts for sure. Pro Football Focus. I don't know if they have route counts though, but they do have snap counts. So he says Harbaugh over McCarthy. So yes, Ravens should be a slight favorite. That's true. Yeah, I mean, for sure. McCarthy is a disaster. But I wish we still had that rant, by the way. Kenny had a legendary rant about Mike McCarthy. We had to delete it because it was a picks video, and Kenny's not allowed to talk about picks because he's involved in education. He's looking to start his own university. Actually, he's going around fundraising and stuff. So he could get in trouble for talking about gambling. So we had to delete that video, unfortunately. But it was like one of the most legendary rants like I've ever heard. Like I was almost pissed my pants. Like I was laughing so much. Cassandra says, luckily for Dallas, Lamar isn't a dual threat. yeah, you could be right. Chandler says Panthers money line, probably not going to end well, but I'm going to ride with it. Well, good luck. I will not be going there. I think the Raiders are legit. Not like a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're a legit playoff contender. So I think they're a lot better than the Panthers, but I don't like that one. It's just going to stay away. Chris says, I remember when the Pontiac Silverdome was on sale for $560,000 at the end. I regret not buying it. What would you have done with it? That's the bigger question. Cassandra says, will Kenny's university be implemented a 10% surcharge to pay athletes? Or implementing 10% surcharge to pay athletes? I don't know if they're going to have athletics there. It's going to be a small school. But if they do, I don't know. It's a question to ask Kenny on Wednesday. I don't know. So laser tag. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah. That is a good thing to have there. All right. So we go to the Sunday night game. Chiefs at the Falcons. This line dropped to 3. There's sharp action on Atlanta. I don't know. I don't have a good lean here. Maybe now that the line's 3, Kansas City might be worth looking at. There's no injuries of note. I didn't see anything significant. I had that quote that I told you guys a couple days ago, where I don't know who said it, but someone I was listening to like a football show on YouTube, which I do all the time. Someone said like the Chiefs are a cat that plays with their food early in the season, especially when they're not playing against divisional opponents. And it's true. Like they don't seem to focus all the time. They do weird experiments, especially at the goal line. And it seems like they're just going through the motions. Like Travis Kelce, just like he's coasting right now. So it's just hard to justify any bet on the Chiefs that's higher than 3. But now that it is 3, I think that the Chiefs might be worth looking at. I don't know if I'm going to quite get there, but they're like I'm at least considering them for the first time, even though the Sharps bet this line down from 4.5 on the advanced spread to 3.5 on the real spread, and then now down to 3. So just right now 0 units, but I don't know, maybe I'll bet a unit on the Chiefs. We'll see. If my Sunday goes really well, maybe I'll do it. Jaguars at the Bills. So the update here is that no Terrell Bernard, no Taron Johnson in practice. Not much of a surprise, but they only had 1 practice so far, but it doesn't seem like those guys will play. The Jaguars are desperate here. The backs are against the wall. And the Bills, that win against Miami was, I don't think, like indicative of how good they are. You know, they're still a good team, but like a 3 touchdown win against the Dolphins like signifies that like you're a great team. I don't think maybe the Bills would be great by the end of the year once Josh Allen develops chemistry and like they get the players back from injury and like maybe some of the safeties start playing better with experience or something. But like right now, I don't think they're like an elite team by any stretch of the imagination. So I think they're overrated. Unfortunately, like we're not getting a good number here. The advanced spread was it was 3.5 and now it's 5.5, but like there's not a huge difference between 3.5 and 5.5. Like 4 seems like it might be a key number, but it's not. Like 4 hits just as often as 5 does. So it's not like this went to 6. Like that would be a huge deal. But then again, the fact that it didn't go to 6 with like Jacksonville losing to Cleveland and going to 0-2 and the Bills looking so impressive on Thursday night, maybe that's a sign that like, you know, the sportsbooks are so scared to make the 6 because they know the Sharps would hammer the Jaguars at 6. So that's at least what I'm thinking here. But I still would take the Jaguars. It's not like not one of my top plays, but I like it for a couple units. So let's see here. Let's see. John Gruden is picking Atlanta to win outright in his 30-plus minute YouTube video. I have to listen to that. I said this last week. I was going to listen to Gruden's video. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I definitely want to check it out because I've heard nothing but good things about it. Doesn't look like Andy plays with this food. I don't know. Maybe he has like 3 dinners, and like his first dinner he doesn't take seriously, and then like the next 2 he does. It's not. I don't know. That's a good one though. McDermott. Okay, he ruled Johnson Bernard out already. Okay, I didn't see that, but yeah, I saw they didn't practice. Jags Bills London revenge game. I think if the Bills weren't coming off such a big win, I know you're joking with that. Oh wow, but if they weren't coming off that such a big win, maybe. But I don't think they take the Jaguars seriously. They're 0-2. Like I don't see that, like them taking that so seriously. Lines down to 4.5. Is it? I'm seeing 5s. Most places I'm seeing 5.5 at Circa. But yeah, 5 at Bookmaker, 5 at Heritage, 5 at Bet Online, 5 at Caesars, 5 at DraftKings. But yeah, it could be 4.5 some places. I'm definitely wouldn't cut that out. Yeah, it's not much of a difference between 4.5 and 5.5. Like, I think games land on 5 like a small percentage of the time. Gruden's looking rough in those videos. Okay, I don't know. I haven't looked at them yet, so I'll have to check it out. Although Chris says Gruden looks exactly the same, just a bigger gut. Well, he's been at home, so I don't blame him for eating a little bit more. I don't know. I have to check it out. I haven't seen Gruden in a while, so it'd be cool to see him again. Chris says Lawrence or Rodgers for fantasy going forward. 6-point pass to touchdown. I got to think Rodgers. He's protected so much better. Lawrence looks lost right now. It's just typical Doug Peterson regression quarterback, right? Like Carson Wentz fell off a cliff with Peterson, and it looks like the same fate is it's going to happen to Lawrence unless they fire Peterson soon. Maybe they will at the end of the year, and they get like Slowick or Ben Johnson or Clint Kubiak in. It seems like they need to get like a sharp offensive minded guy instead of Peterson, who just kind of sucks. Okay, FanDuel, yeah. So maybe it's trending that way, but we'll see. Mike says Jaguars can't win on a field that doesn't look like the surface of the moon, covered with outdoor carpeting. Yeah, exactly. Well, they need their pool, right? They need that. Well, they lost last week to Cleveland, but it was I don't know. I think that pool did wonders for them because like they usually struggled at home, and then they did well. Like they went to the AFC Championship the one year, so I don't know. But I was kind of like a long time ago. I was joking with Matt Bi, who's like the first co-host of the show. I was like, I was joking. I said that like one of my goals, because like people make these like these pilgrimages to like Lambeau Field. They say like, my goal is to go to Lambeau Field. I was like, my goal is to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars swimming pool. And then Matthew, I was like, well, I don't know about that. There might be a lot of diseases in that pool. And I was like, yeah, that's true. So, yeah. Chris says, rough, just the way the mother likes it, Trebek. the penis mightier. I'll take swords 4,000. I love Celebrity Jeopardy. It's so good. Chris says, is it possible for the Jaguars are a bad team? Yes, I think so. And they were good last year until Lawrence got hurt. They were 8-3. Then he got injured. Like it was a new injury every single week. And they just collapsed at the end. They only beat the Panthers, but yeah, they could be a bad team. But yeah, that's like the one risk here. So not like again, like not a huge play. 2 units is fine, I think. Just based on the fact that they're going to be very desperate. And even bad teams cover. New England beat Cincinnati, for example. This says, hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on, Diggs? Chris says, why hasn't Lawrence lived up to his potential? I think it's Doug Peterson. Well, first and foremost, I think Peterson. I think he's holding him back. I think the offensive line's holding him back too. They really haven't fixed it. They drafted Anton Harrison, who's just been a disaster. Just bad protection, bad coaching, I think. But you have to put some of it on Lawrence too. But I think if he had like much better coaching or better protection, I think he'd be in a much better place right now. Yeah, nice. All right. So last game. This is the second game I have no notes on. We only have 1 day's worth of practice notes. But there's like no major injuries here. There's no line movement. The line's been at 7 the whole time. Hasn't moved off 7.5 or 7.5. So no sharp action yet. That could change. I still like. I think this one's tough to handicap because on one hand, the Bengals are going to be desperate at 0-2 to bounce back. But on the other hand, they're coming off such an emotional loss against the Chiefs. They put everything into that game, and now they're huge favorites. It's I don't have like I call this like on my Excel sheets. I call this the ladder theory. I don't know if it's like a good name for that. Maybe you guys can come up with a better name. But like it's basically like a team will like climb up the ladder to like try to knock off one of those top teams, and they'll put everything into that game, and then they fall because they lose, they get knocked off, and then like suddenly they're huge favorites, and it's like it's such a weird dynamic that it usually loses. I don't have like the exact numbers, but it reminds me of last year when the Jaguars in week 2 they played the Chiefs. They put everything into that game, and it was close for a while. They ended up losing. And then the next week they had Houston at home, and they were 9-point favorites against Houston. They lost outright. This looks very similar. Same thing. Lost to the Chiefs in week 2, hosting a team that they're not going to take seriously in week 3. They're 0-2, and they could lose here. So, I'm not gonna. I have no interest in betting this game. I think this game could go either way. Like Cincinnati could rip apart Washington. Like the Redskins secondary is a disaster, and if Higgins comes back, then Cincinnati's going to look great again in that matchup. But I just think they could be unfocused. Bengals have some issues with the run defense. Like feels like Brian Robinson should be able to run all over them if the game doesn't get out of hand. So I don't really see any good side here. Even like taking this down to 1.5 on the teaser. I said on Tuesday that I liked it, and I'm kind of rethinking that. I feel like either Cincinnati wins in a blowout or they lose outright. Like I think that like both could happen, and I just don't know what to make of this game. So anyway, Sue 222. He says bought a Redskins logo hat on eBay, a PC trigger. Nice. That's awesome. I actually when the Redskins changed their name, I actually bought like a Redskins t-shirt because I thought maybe they're going to be hard to find eventually, but sadly it didn't fit me. So I ordered the right size and everything. It was just I don't know, maybe it's just a weird company or something. But yeah, the shirt was so small on me. I had trouble like taking it off. So unfortunately my plan to buy Redskins t-shirt didn't pan out. Urban didn't help. Yeah, that's true. Chris says this might be a different combo if ATN hadn't fumbled away and win a week 1. Think about it this way though. They could have beaten the Dolphins in week 1, but the Dolphins look so bad in week 2. So it's like, was that an oppressive game that they almost won, or was that two bad teams playing against each other? It's tough to say right now. Richard says Higgins had a limited practice. Having Higgins back would be big against the Redskins defense. Yeah, I agree with that. We just don't know. Like limited could mean anything. Like last week, Jack Conklin was limited all week and he didn't play. So like the fact that he's at least returned to practice is nice. But we just don't know yet. But yeah, it'll. I mean, Friday, Saturday will obviously be much more telling. Deflation situation. That's good. That's good. I have to. I like that. So. I think that like it's just it's a bad spot for teams. Where there's so many examples of this. I could probably find some more next time. Where are we at for the Bengals Super Bowl odds, or have you lost interest? Like the number's not great. It's like I think it's like 20-1. Let's look on FanDuel, just in case I'm dead wrong or something. But I've lost like a little bit of interest just because I don't know, something seems off with this team. But see 20-1. I was expecting something better, like for an 0-2 team. But at 20-1 seems okay. I forget, what were they before? Were they like 12-1 at the beginning of the year? So I don't know. Maybe 20-1 is okay. But yeah, maybe I should have put that $25 free bet on Cincinnati. I don't know if I'm going to quite pull the trigger. So I'll have to think about it. Jets are 20-1, by the way, still, which is, it's weird that they haven't taken that down. It was 20-1 before this game, and now they're still 20-1. That's kind of strange. But the Jets look great. So you'd think that you'd get a better number or like a worse number after that win, but apparently not. You still like the Bengals for Survivor? I think so. Like, what are the other options here? Like, if you didn't use the Jets, you can't use them now. So Browns, if Garrett plays and the tackles are coming back, then they look good. Definitely not Tampa. Raiders, I thought the Raiders would be a good choice, but now I'm rethinking that. Definitely not Seattle. The Niners are banged up. If you want to use them against the Rams, I think you can still do that. Bills, it's a tough spot. So yeah, maybe the Bengals are still the right play. It's tough. I mean, so many big favorites have lost. It doesn't seem like anyone's safe at this point. But yeah, I think I still will go with Bengals. Chris says news headline today. No joke. Family of Blackfeet chief who inspired Redskins logo wants it back. Yeah, the polls have been out there. Washington Post, which is a liberal publication, they ran 2 polls polling the Native American community, and it was like 85 to 90% of Native Americans supported the team name and logo. Like Redskin, the origin of the name Redskins, it comes from like the French Indian War, where it's like a code word the Native Americans used. So it's definitely not a slur. Like, I've never heard anyone say Redskins negatively toward Native American. Like, it's like a name of pride, and there are 4 Native American high schools that have Redskins as their logo. Like, if they think it's a good thing, and the person who designed the logo, inspired, the family of the Blackfeet chief, the Native Americans inspired the logo and wanted the logo in the first place. It's like, why would you take that away from them? See, I think it's racist to take that away from them. And it feels like the only people who are angry about this are just like coastal liberals, white people who just, I don't know, they just want like brownie points just for claim. They want to say stuff's racist to make themselves look better. But like, I think they're the true racists. You have to get back to your wedding weight for that Redskins shirt. Yeah, for sure. Actually, it probably would have fit at my wedding, because if you guys, the story goes like, man, I was 205 a few months before my wedding, and the football season ended, and so I had more time to work out, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna lose weight for my wedding. I'm gonna be the same weight I was when I met my wife in 2013. I was 165 when I met my wife. I went from 205 to 168. I couldn't get those last 3 pounds. I just couldn't do it. But it's still like 168. I look pretty good for compared to where I was at 205. So the day of the wedding, I go to the hotel. We're in a room. I try on my suit, my tux, or it's just my suit, and then like I'm like, something's wrong here. Like, did I get the wrong suit? And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my god, I got tailored at 205 and instead of 168. I felt like such an idiot. It just didn't even pop into my head. And like, if you look at I pictures of my wedding on Facebook, I had like the baggy suit ever. I look like a kid at a bar mitzvah. It's so embarrassing. Luckily, my wife looked good, but like I looked like a joke because my suit was not tailored at all. It was horrible. But yeah, at least I lost weight, but it's all back now just because I have 2 kids and I get to go to the gym maybe once a week, like if I'm lucky. Bungles run game looks anemic. Yeah, it's Zach Moss. Like, he sucks. Like, what are they doing here? K-Making Eagle says it's not important that Native Americans want it back. It's only important that white liberals feel great about getting rid of it. Yeah, exactly. They want to say, I got rid of the Redskins logo. That's like, I don't know. It feels like, if you watch South Park, it was like that one episode where like everyone was sniffing their farts. I feel like that's what they are like. Like, they sniff their own farts. They want to claim all this stuff. They want to claim that they're good people, and they're really not. I think it's all projection. I think they know that they're bad people, but they want to kind of deflect off of that. John says, I just tell people that bulimia is the easiest way to lose weight. It's true. What I did was I basically would eat half portions. Like I'd put normal amount of food on my plate and then put half of it aside for leftovers. And then I would eat half portions. I went to the gym and swam a mile every day, and I stopped drinking soda. Like those the only three things I did, and I lost 40 pounds, 37 pounds in 3 months. So that's you guys are looking to lose weight. That's what I did. Richard says, I just don't see the Bengals having a letdown game when they're 0-2 and at a home in primetime game. No way. You could be right. I think there's a good chance they just slaughter the Redskins because the Redskins secondary is a disaster. And it's it's a good matchup for that perspective. So you definitely could be right. But I've seen this so many times before where a team plays their Super Bowl and then they're huge favorites and then they just have a letdown. So that's why I'm just not touching this game. So it says next I need to get a Cleveland Indians hat. Yeah, that one that's another stupid one. Like Guardians is so bad. Like at least if like they went back to Cleveland Spiders, like that logo was so cool. Like the spider with the C on it. Like at least like I'm like wow, that Spiders like that like I'd even like consider buying like a Spiders hat. Like that was such a great logo. But yeah, getting rid of Cleveland Indians just that's just disgraceful what they're doing. Chris says, what about the South Park versions of the Redskins logo, though? Maybe we can get a shirt with that. Maybe. I don't know if that's like copyright infringement from South Park, though. I don't want Matt Stone and Trey Parker suing me. It's the last thing I want. But if I'm allowed to do it, I would love to sell that. I'm kind of curious if they sell it, too. They must have a lot of merch that they sell. And maybe that's one of the things. I have no idea though. But yeah, I don't want to get sued by the South Park creators. that would suck because I love those guys. Yeah, that's about it for this evening. I'm gonna dive into some prop bets tonight and then post them Friday night / Saturday morning. So that's my plan for the rest of the night here. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for commenting and watching. Just really appreciate it. Thanks especially to Slew for the 222 super chat. Thank you so much, Slew. You and John Sanders, you guys have been so awesome with your contributions. And also Cam Eagle, and yesterday we had Stuart Griffin as well. But you guys have been so great. So let's see. Chris says, "Oops, I meant buy one from them for the site." It need to be an apron. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to get that apron on. So no, we have a special guest on Saturday. Quacky, unfortunately, I don't know if you missed the beginning of the show. Quacky unfortunately had a concerning family matter that he had to go to. He actually had to drive to his dad's house tonight in Jacksonville. So he was planning to be on the show, and then just something happened, and he couldn't be on the show, unfortunately. So I hope everything's gonna be okay. But he should be on next week, I think, unless he has like a work thing. But yeah, it was just a weird situation tonight that he couldn't be on. So I hope everything's okay there. But no, we're gonna have a special guest on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll be back Saturday, and then normal shows next week. So yeah, please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated, and I hope you guys have a great night and a great start to your weekend. And I'll talk to you on Saturday.